Actually, I joined UNICEF on August the 1st. August 4th, I think, August 4th, 2017. The minister had a press conference where he announced that he's going to change it all. He's not going to try to amend it. He will just take it down and have a new version of education. And I think it was absolutely inspiring, and I think it was an important moment. So Dr. Tariq kept on saying, I want to bring fun back to the classroom. I want children to enjoy learning and education. And then we started also to talk about the competencies of the future. So even in the vision statement kind of thing, you will have all of this wording around the being competitive in the global market, being a global citizen, being able to deal with the social challenges in the country. And I think the first year was very much it was a roller coaster. Second year was much, much, much better. And I think the country is, we are absolutely learning, things are improving. And I would assume this is the nature of big reforms. Of course, we still miss on so what is the impact on the ground? What does it mean to children? But we hope maybe in a few years we will actually learn about what does it mean for children. The capacity of teachers is absolutely going up, which is I think is evident. From the discussion interviews, we don't have like a solid, rigorous research on what does it mean in the classroom, but we can anticipate that there is a change happening on the ground. As UNICEF, we were absolutely supportive of the idea. We were only saying we only need to focus on formative assessment. We spoke about more of having a child portfolio rather than having a clear assessment, using a diagnostic tool where the child readiness to school, so it's more into this shifting from pre-primary to primary rather than having an assessment. Because the whole world is moving away from assessment. And how Egypt used to do assessment, I think it can be traumatizing to children. We're pushing for a skills-based education system. We were starting to discussing project-based learning, play-based learning, especially in the early years. And this is one way of how you can bring skills into the classroom, where children are engaged in activities. This is how they can acquire some skills, especially when it comes to communication, negotiation, empathy, showing respect to diversity and all of that. So the development of this framework, the Life Skills Citizenship Education Framework, it was very participatory. So we had workshops across different countries. Egypt, the Ministry of Education, was one of the participating countries. In the region, in UNICEF, globally even, we call Egypt one of the champion countries because we are champion in adapting this life skills and citizenship education. At the time, in 2017, Egypt was one of the first countries to actually teach us what to do. Currently, they are taking it also in other regions. I think India is one of the countries that has already endorsed it. The skills development agenda is now part of UNICEF new education strategy. Egypt is also one of the solution countries where we are saying this is one way of how you can change education by doing 1, 2, 3, 4. There is also a component on civic participation. 60% of our population is young. It should be something to celebrate. So it was also part of the discussion on what you can do to improve their engagement, what you can do to improve their prospects in the labor market later on, and also how you can help them to better understand each other and to be able to be more socially accountable and responsible. One challenge is social cohesion. In a region that is facing wars, displacement, both internally and externally. What we did with the CCIMD recently was the development of, so there are of course the special education curricular framework, so children who are eligible to go into the mainstream education. So we also came up with the center, of course, with CCIMD, with some guidelines for the publishers of the paper-based or the digital materials on how you can adjust so it reflects the needs of these children with sensory disabilities. And then we came up with a teacher's guide on inclusive education. This has to be integrated because, again, it's the same teacher for the same classroom. There's only some specific considerations that you need to have as you address your classroom. And it's not only about children with disabilities as we define it, it's about differentiated learning and that every child has a different educational needs. They are not the same. So hopefully in the coming years, this will be able to be merged for UNICEF. And I think the word inclusion is even bigger than children with disabilities. Because you also want to include refugees, for example. You also want to include girls. You make sure that girls have the same right to education. You want to include children from different ethnic groups. So inclusion is a big word. How currently it's used in Egypt is specifically focusing on children with disabilities, but going back to the idea of that children have different educational needs, all of the children need to be looked in an inclusive manner. I really think reform cannot only be pushed from a top down. It has to be coupled with what does it mean for the school, and it has to be not what does it mean to the teacher. I absolutely think at least orienting the school was absolutely key.